good start to a really big week for us, and heck of a challenge going up to Stanford and playing a really good football team. And I think, just from the way our guys were focused in this morning, I think they're really looking forward to it. So, got a couple injury updates for you. Ellis was in a red shirt today, which is a good sign. We expect him to be available on Saturday. Jordan James, I think that it's a stretch to think that he'll play. I don't want to rule him out, but I think it'd be a real stretch. He's still in a boot. And then I have some concerns about Darius Bell. He took a good hit over there and his ankle's buckled. He's slowly getting better, but we'll see where he is on Saturday. I think that Ellis, about 99% sure. Darius, I think he's going to play. Jordan, I'd list him as doubtful. I think we're going to get Darren Andrews back this week. He was in red and he was working with the offense. They just wanted to get through the practice today. He feels a lot better, so it'll be good to get him back out here. But it was a good start to the week, and it's an exciting week. You get to play on a national stage against one of the best teams in football, and this is what we've been working for. It's a team that won the Pac-12 last year, beat us up there in a close game. Our guys feel like they can compete with them, but it's going to take all we've got. We're going to have to play very, very well, and I expect us to.
After what happened last year, how excited are you for your team to have a chance at a little redemption come Saturday?
I don't focus on that, nor do our players, like on redemption or revenge. I think when you do that, it's a slippery slope. I think what you have to focus on is just the game that you're getting ready to play. That's always kind of been my attitude about it, and I hope that, I think somewhere deep down in their psyche, and maybe not so deep, is, hey, payback. But if you make that your main motivation, I think you make a mistake. You have to focus on this game, this year, and what it's going to take to win this game this year. And so I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Is there sometimes when that can be helpful, though, especially with, like, say, Kaimi? I know that was something you guys practiced, that same kick, all year. Is that something where that may motivate someone like him, especially?
It may. That was a different situation for Emi. It was wet. It was probably the only poor snap, or, not perfect snap that Kevin had all year. We put him in a tough situation there. And as you said, I've given him 34 left hash, I think, every practice that we kicked since spring. Gave it to him again today. Trying to just make it routine for him. But I don't know, I haven't asked him about that. That's something I don't ask our guys about a lot. I try to just create a mindset through what I say to them and let them motivate themselves the way they motivate themselves.
How important is it to get a good rotation on the defensive line with Ellis against a team like Stanford?
I think it's always important on the defensive line. That's a physically demanding position to play. You're playing against big, powerful men. Oftentimes you're taking on double teams. It takes maximum effort. And I think if you can keep your defensive line to around 50 snaps a game, then you're probably going to get good production. It's when they start getting the 60s and 70s and they get tired. They can't give you all they've got for that particular play. That's when you get in trouble. So we need to be able to rotate guys through, and it's a real positive that we've got a deep defensive line, and they're all productive, good players.
Watching the tape, how did Eddie do replacing Ellis?
Eddie played really well. Matter of fact, he was one of our top performers on defense in this past game. Every week he gets better. He's figuring it out, and he's understanding what it takes to have success at this level. There's no little Johnnies on any offensive lines that we play. Certainly not this week. So he's starting to really figure it out. Excited about his progress.
Do you hear anything from the Pac-12 about Cassius, or is that situation, have you dealt with that at all?
No. I would have assumed I'd have heard something yesterday. So, the rules as I understand them are if you're ejected in the first half, then you sit the second half, obviously, the rest of the first and second, and you're okay for the next game. And if you're ejected in the second half, then you sit the rest of that half and the start of the next game. And that's the rules as I understand them, and I haven't heard anything differently. So, we'll see.
How's Caleb looking? How did he look on tape from Saturday's game?
He did good things, and then he struggled at times. But the more he can play, the better he's going to get. He'll be better this week than he was last week. He's a good football player. It's just experience. know, and there's not necessarily an old man standing next to him that's able to tell him what to do. He's got Alex, you know. So, but what I think is kind of is fun and exciting is to watch those two grow up together and mature together and get better together, because they're both really good players, you know. But we just have to understand that at times, and hopefully not too many times, but at times there could be an issue, there could be a breakdown, there could be miscommunication, you know. But they're gonna slowly eliminate those things from the game, and I think the more they play, the better they're gonna get. They're gonna get good quickly.
Are you saying that Alex does have an old man next to him?
Older, if you want to call it, you know, a redshirt sophomore an old man. Well, you know, for our team, a redshirt sophomore is kind of an old man. You know, we're pretty young.
You were talking about how you guys relied on 6 freshmen, and there's probably no other top 10 team that did that. In a game like this, when they're going to take advantage of your mistakes, how key is it that those freshmen, you know, aren't acting like freshmen, I guess?
It's critical. You know, this is a football team that we're playing on Saturday that it'll be difficult to recover from crucial mistakes. You know, I mean, there's never been a mistake-free football game in the history of ball, but it's the type of mistakes, you know, and it's the big errors that we have to avoid, because they'll make you pay. We learned that last year, you know, and when you watch them on film, you see that they're very opportunistic. So those guys just they got to be ready to go, and I think they will be. You know, I saw them better this week than they were against Utah in that second half, and I expect them to be better even more so this week against Stanford. It's a great challenge for them. You know, no matter what happens, they're going to come out of this game having played against one of the best defensive fronts in football, and I think it will give them a tremendous amount of, obviously, experience and I think confidence.
Is there any mistake that stands out from that last game specifically? Or?
No. Like, by those two?
No. By I guess I was talking about the Pac-12 title game last year that maybe Stanford took advantage of. Or.
Well, the interception, you know, that they ran back. Did they run it back for a touchdown or down to the 1? You know, we dropped the ball in the flat on that last drive. You know, a less than perfect snap by one of the best snappers I've ever been around, Kevin. You know, I think that I probably made a mistake by clocking it, you know, on that last drive, rather than getting up and going again to give us an extra down. I was trying to weigh 3rd and 4 versus the time, you know, time management. Looking back on it, maybe there. And then I'm sure there was a lot of little things earlier in the game that led to those moments. But those are the 4 that really kind of stand out in my mind as I've gone through the offseason.
With such a physical game, is there anything that you'd like to see in particular from your defensive line that hasn't necessarily been asked of them just with the offensive been done?
No, you know, our defensive line has played well. I mean, you look at our run defense, and we gave up 2.8 a carry this past week. I think when you take away the quarterback scrambles, not runs, the week before we were at 3.0 a carry. Our defensive line's been doing an excellent job. I mean, they're stout, they're firm, they're playing with a lot of discipline in terms of gap integrity. They're big, they're tough, they're physical. I think this is a good game for us, the style that we play on defense. I'm really pleased with those guys.
Noel was saying that some of the throws that Brett missed, you know, he was just trying a little too hard maybe on Saturday. In a game like this, when you know the stakes are higher than they were probably last week, is that something that you worry about? Or you tell Brett, you have to tell him, you know, relax, Brett, it'll be okay, just get the ball to your guys?
At some point I'll probably tell him to relax. I do before every game, you know, hey, just go be you. Just go play the game. You know, you don't have to win it by yourself. You know, that's kind of, probably most coaches tell their quarterbacks that every week. You know, every time that Brett goes out and lines up, he just gets a little bit better. He understands what his mental approach to the game needs to be. He's improved in that area. I think he's really looking forward to this game. He played well against him last year in that second game. I don't worry too much about Brett. You know, he's still developing as a quarterback. He's still young. He hasn't played a whole lot of games yet. You know, you look at some of those throws that he missed, and they're correctable things. They're correctable. I don't want to call them errors, just correctable decisions. And I think that he's working through it. He's correcting every week. He gets better. You know, and this would be a really good week for him to play really, really well.
Is that something, just those instances of him trying too hard, that's something that's only going to be rectified by him playing more, especially in big games like this?
I think so, yeah. I think just getting more comfortable in that environment, the big game environment, the pressure environment. The only way you get comfortable in that environment is to experience that environment, you know? And Brett's not a guy that's necessarily affected by pressure or affected by the environment. The pressure doesn't squelch him, but you still have to go through the experience. And so he's doing that more often. You know, I look at the Utah game or even the Nebraska game, great experiences for him. You know, and I think he'll draw on that this week.
How do you try and temper some of the emotions of some of the guys that might be a little bit more emotional about games like this?
Well, I think it's okay to be, you want to play with emotion, but you don't want to play emotionally. You know, you need to be at a heightened state of mental awareness, but you don't want to ever let it get out of control, you know? I think part of the way you do that is that as a head coach, it's the way you talk to them and the things that you say to them, you know? You don't try to necessarily whip them into a frenzy on a Tuesday. You know, you let it slowly build. And so you create the right mindset going into the game, a mindset of calmness and confidence, you know, and poise and composure in class. And that's what we try to emphasize all the time.
Thanks, guys.